like an awful lot of people, Thunderbird 2 is my favourite of the Thunderbirds. But it's rather odd in that in all this time, all these years of modelling, I've never owned a model of Thunderbird 2. I did a commission for someone back in the 80s, an old small IMI kit, but I've never owned one. Don't really know why, but one of the reasons I think is there's always the question of what colour the ship is. I'll discuss that more further along the line, but the reason I've finally got one is because of my next project, which I haven't got yet, but I've bought. It will become clear further along the line, but basically I've got a new model. It's being 3D printed, and while it's being 3D printed, I know it's going to be green, right? And that then gave me the impetus to go, all right, well, I've got to get a can of green paint. Why not have it the same green as Thunderbird 2? So I've researched as best I can the colour of Thunderbird 2, and I've got a can of that, but again, that's somewhere down the line. I'll talk about that. But so this is the unboxing today. This is the AIP Adventures in Plastic version. You may recall I've already done their version of the Mole and also Thunderbird 3. I had problems with Thunderbird 3. If you scroll down my video list, you'll eventually find it and you'll hear the problems I had. But yeah, so this is the 135th scale Thunderbird 2 in scale with Thunderbird 3, so it's going to be good to put them together and compare the size. So here we go. Let's have a look. Immediately, this is not the shade of green that I want it to be. And as I say, later on we'll be talking colours, but there's shades of green I don't want it to be, and this is one of them. This darkish grass green. All right, so top half of the pod. This has got like a working, does it show you? No, this is like a working thing because it comes with a 135th scale Thunderbird 4, and I think you can have the door open and close so it can come out. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to have it with the legs up. I'm going to have him, you know, belly down. Oh, looks like there's a, yeah, we've got a cockpit there. Maybe we get a little figure. The yellow sprue is the Thunderbird 4. That's the rear engine things. That's the interior of the pod. Yeah, looking forward to this. Even though I had problems with Thunderbird 3, the detail was really, really good, and to a large degree, I enjoyed making it. So, but I think, yeah, look, you get the ramp, the interior ramp. So at the very least, by not going this route, with it displayed with Thunderbird 4 coming out, I'm going to have some spare parts to put in my bits box. That'll be rather good. Oh, sorry. Yeah, I think I'm going to have some spare parts. So that's good. Here's the decal sheet. Ooh, that's good. That's really good decal sheet. Look at that. And there's even decals for inside the cockpit, the control panels. There's also the red for the rear engines. Now, do I do that? I might do that rather than just, I was going to just paint them red. I didn't realise you had a decal for them, but I might just use those. You've even got decals for all the Thunderbird 4 bits. All right, so let's crack this fella open and start snipping off a sprue. I swear I'm going to start calling this channel King of the Sub-Assemblies. It seems that, you know, no matter what company, what model from what company I build things from, I end up doing them in sub-assemblies held together with blue tack. This is the case here. Very, very simple job to put this fella together. Very, very quick. And he's in sub-assemblies, and I'll explain why. First up, this whole front section very neatly slides on quite snugly. It's almost a snap fit kit, right? And as you can see, yeah, it's on there quite well. So I should have said before I took that off, what I'm going to do is I'm going to prime this and first, and when I prime it, I'm priming it like this, and then I'm going to be taking this piece off, right, and then priming this, because that's a pretty nifty cockpit. I didn't realize that the seats are there, but they are there, and there are decals. You're not going to see an awful lot through those windows, but I'll know it will be there. So once I've primed the whole body, I take the nose cone off and I prime this and paint this. And then what I'll do is I'm going to cover that up, mask that all off, and then I'll be spraying the nose and the rest of it in the green, and then put it all together for weathering, because then I don't have to worry about masking off those tiny little windows. All right. Also push fitted into place. Oh yeah, and the other thing is, by doing that way, it means getting it in there. I've just got to clean that up. As you can see, there's a little bit of mold line there. By doing it this way, those vents there, those intakes, I can paint while it's in this situation. It'll be easier to do. And the same thing with the tail. This is just pressed into place. All right. And yeah, I'll have to do metallics in that and metallics in that. So this is just pressed in place, and once it's primed and got its base coat on, I'll be taking that all apart and then painting that. All right. The pod itself, I've glued in place. All right. Got the little rollers on the underside. Glued it in place. All right. I didn't bother, as I said, it's going to offer me up spare parts. So I've got the interior of the pod spare. I've got there was no point in putting the swing open door, the ramp door, so I've gained that from a bits box, and I've also gained all the legs and the feet, which is nifty. I'm sure I'll find a use for them somewhere or other. So yeah, that's glued in place. The rockets at the end, you can see it's a terrible fit, and that's because these are all just blue tacked at the moment. All right, after priming, these come off, and I'll be dealing with them separately. All right, so that's the main body. All right, and then we've got the tiny little Thunderbird 4, and unusually for me, I'm not going to paint this. It's such a tiny little model, and it's the right colour. Very shiny, but that's all right, because you've got a ton of decals to put on it. I'll put the decals on, and then I will put some matte varnish on it to take the toy-like sheen, glossiness off of it. All right, but that itself is like what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 parts there to make up the main part of him. And again, this is another reason for just not bothering to paint it. The seventh part is the top of the canopy. I'll put that on after everything, because you've actually got a clear window in there. So yeah, that's what I'll be doing there. Again, it's offered me up some spare parts. Some of the parts, these yellow parts, are for the Thunderbird 4's ramp that he slides out of the pod on. All right. And then lastly, today, this was a bonus. It's not advertised anywhere, but you get a third vehicle, which is the big digger truck, the excavator truck. All right. Didn't know he was in there at all. So yeah, as I say, that's a bonus. I like all this waxy green colour. It reminds me of the Thunderbirds toys you would get in sugar smacks and breakfast cereals and the like. So yeah, so that's that, all right? So I'm going to come back with everything primed and a little bit more progress. Looking very weird in the grey primer. Thunderbird 2 looks weird if it's anything other than the green that we know it by, and that's a nice link into colour choice. Yeah, because there's conflicting questions or answers to what colour was Thunderbird 2. One line of thought is that it's a long defunct car spray paint that's just not available anymore. And another line of thought is it's actually a bespoke paint that was done at the Century 21 studios. And complicating that as well is you had more than one filming miniature of Thunderbird 2, and each time the colour scheme was slightly different. And also, whenever they blew it up or flew it and it broke, the wires broke or whatever, there would be hurried patch-up jobs. So the colour would change. Even just one miniature, the colour would change over its life. So yeah, what kind of paint do I get to spray it? And I looked, and I don't like this version of Thunderbird 2 where it's like quite a dark green. I prefer it where it's got a bit more yellow in it, but I couldn't find one anywhere. There's some like Humbrol, brush paints, but I want a spray paint for a nice smooth finish. And what I've come up with is this colour, all right, which is Tamiya Park Green. I'm going to give that a go. It looks quite bright, but I am going to be weathering it. And whenever you weather or know that you're going to weather a model, you've got to go lighter than you would normally do, because then once you apply the washes and the weathering, it takes the brightness down, all right? So hopefully it's not got that yellow tint to it that I would have liked, but I'm going to give it a go. So yeah, let's give it a go. Well, that is a bright green. It's very toy-like, isn't it? It's okay. I wanted it bright, and I've got it. Would have been nice if there was a bit more yellow to it, but okay, it's all right. It's not too bad. Okay, so next step then is take the front off, mask all this bit up, spray the inside cockpit. I've got to put that all in, and the decals on everything else. I've got to take this tail bit off, take that all apart so I can do the metallics. All right, so I think I'll come back with the with decals on then. A mixed bag of a progress report for you today. This is the little excavator vehicle, which is on its way. Very, very basic, as you can see. All right, so that's that. So I then moved on to the decals, and it started well, but it didn't end well. I had shades of the Thunderbird 3. So what you've got here is the cockpit, which I'm happy with. The decal, this large decal, is one piece, all right, but it's got to fit over the ridges, and I could have cut them out one by one, but instead what I did was use micro set and micro sole to soften the decal and make the adhesion better. And it kind of worked. It's raised in a couple of places, but once it's actually got the nose cone on, you're barely going to see it. So that's all right. Quite pleased with that. All right. And then after doing that, I started on Thunderbird 4. And the problem with Thunderbird 4 is the decals are too big. And even though I trimmed down the barrier film, they still only just fit on there. In fact, you can see the number 4 on the other side is still poking over slightly. So I've got to snip a bit of that off. They don't fit at all. All right. So that's where we are with that one. What did I do next? Yeah, that was annoying. But then, like, I applied the 2 on the tail, the 2 on the back wing, and on the underside. All right. Okay. Oh, also, forgot to say, I've taken apart the tail jet bit thing to enable me to paint the metallics a lot easier. And also, yeah, also in here, you can see I've done the same with the jet intakes there, right? So, yeah, that's that. Then did the nose cone and the Thunderbird 2, and the 2 went on all right. This hasn't gone on too well. You can see it's still a little bit rippled. I'm going to put some more microsol on that to try and soften it up. Painted in the red, as you can see, and then it went all wrong. Yeah, the red with the yellow and black bands is a decal, and I put it on, and even though I use microsol or micro set, can you see it's gone on with wrinkles, and I'm doing my best, and it tore there. I'm doing my best to get rid of those wrinkles. I've put afterwards lots of microsol on, which is a decal softener, to try and get it to lay down a bit better. And I've left it overnight. I've still got the odd 1 or 2. I think what I'm next going to try and do is with a brand new scalpel blade, slit that and then put microsol, and hopefully that will sit down a bit better. If it doesn't work to any great degree, I have considered removing these, paint them red, and put on a black and yellow coach line for the striping. It's all right for the black, but I'd have to buy another roll of coach line, which I'd rather not do. I'd rather not go to the expense of that, but we'll see. Yeah, the yellow stripes went on okay. They wouldn't wrap round properly, so I've had to trim them. But also, I don't know what's up with these decals. The adhesive on the backing is not that good. These are just barely on there. All right. Next step is some matte varnish to seal it all in, take the glossiness away, and hopefully glue the darn things down. All right. So that's where I am at the moment. This threw me somewhat. I've got loads of leftover decals. So where the bloody hell does that go? It don't go anywhere. It seems that, and I didn't have this with the Thunderbird 3, you have a generic set of decals to be used on other vehicles and things. Look, Thunderbird 4 and whatever that is, all right? So, yeah, well, that's all right. I've got some leftovers, okay? So, yeah, it's a bit disappointing. The decal stage is not going anywhere near as well as I would have hoped it would have. So I'll come back once that's all you know, matted, and see what it looks like. Strange lighting for this bit. Sun's only just coming up this morning, and I want to work on this before going off out. So yeah, the matte varnish is done and did its job, which is great. Sealed everything in nicely. Still looking very toy-like, but that's just about to change, because what I'm just about to do before I go out is put on a very, very weak brown-black wash, just to go into the recesses and dull this down and take the toyness away. And then after that, I'll be putting on a coat of matte varnish again, just to dull that down again, and then it will be out with pastels. This is going to be mainly a pastel weathered ship. So there we go then. That's the little excavator vehicle. A teeny tiny Thunderbird 4, dirted down. Hopefully stopped it looking like a toy. Yeah, and then the big chap himself. Still not totally happy with that green. In some light, it looks better than others. As you can see, I stayed with the decals, managed to smooth them out, and the pasteling has covered up some of the blemishes. Yeah, as I say, in some lights, I like the green. In some others, it's still a bit toy-like. And I like as well, I don't know if you can make it out, but yeah, you can see a fair amount of the cockpit details in there. So finally, I own my own Thunderbird 2.